I'd like to spend a few minutes looking at some of the professional learning activities that you may need to engage in this year, and that you may very much need to look at putting in place for your colleagues for next year in order for them to learn how to actually do the high reliability strategies in their teaching. If we don't get these activities operating effectively, then you're going to be less likely to actually have the teaching working all together. And one very important issue is how you'll help teachers build the activities into their regular teaching. How you'll actually have them build the ideas into the content that they're teaching. There are lots of aspects to do with this. Again, if I look at a grade 3 and 4 class and we're working on mini beasts, how will I build the meaning-making motor into those activities? How will I have paraphrasing in those activities? Does this make sense? And you will need to discuss with your colleagues about how to do it. What will the half-hour science lesson in grade 3 and 4 look like when you're putting in place the children learning about mini beasts and how you're going to get out of it the literacy activities. One issue that's going to arise is that teachers will say, we don't have time. We don't have time to do the literacy. We have to teach mini beasts. If this is said by primary school teachers, it's probably going to be more likely to be said by secondary teachers. That there isn't the time to actually teach it. Now, if we unpack this for a moment, with any content that we're teaching, if it's mini beasts or if it's women in ancient Egypt, one key part of the knowledge is the vocabulary. If the children know the appropriate vocabulary for mini beasts, or for women in ancient Egypt, or for Year 11 physics, if they know the appropriate vocabulary, they have part of the knowledge, part of the content. If in fact the students can read a proposition, when something falls in the Earth's gravitational field, it accelerates. If they are able to paraphrase that, I believe they'll know more about it. If they're able to visualise it, if they can say that sublimation means changing state from a solid to a vapour directly, if the students can say that and then imagine it happening, I believe they're understanding it. The high reliability strategies should be directly building knowledge of the topic. Directly building knowledge of the topic. Now, some teachers would prefer to teach by basically having the students manipulate the information, just by themselves without any intervention, or they'd prefer the students, again, in the secondary context, basically to listen. Now, as we've said, that's not going to take care of the range of individual differences in my class. The children who are good at thinking will think well. The children who are poor at thinking will continue to think poorly. And nothing will have changed. The reason why we're putting in place the strategies is to actually get the acting. So you may need to spend some time helping your colleagues do exactly what you did this morning. Take the lesson plans, take the content, and discuss how they can embed it. How can they segment it? How can they do the things we talk about? Look at the topic. Don't ask the children to start to paraphrase until you're really clear of what neighbourhood we're talking about. It's not the neighbourhood of NMIT, it's the neighbourhood of the earth. That's the point you were making, Maria. You know, that we really make sure that the teachers are aware, and some teachers are going to be scared. This for some teachers will be a change in how they teach. And I'll tell you, not secondary only, primary as well. It's going to be a different approach to teaching. And they won't know how to do it. So you're going to need to get a page of the text and unpack it. And talk through how you're going to develop the strategy. It may well be that you need to photocopy 1 or 2 pages of the content, as we looked at earlier. Sorry, I'll take mine. That's what I said. One of the things that you might need to do is actually to take the content like this, and you might actually have to annotate it to show the teacher where to do things. You might need to have to circle the words that you're going to recommend the meaning-making motive for. And what dialogue will they use to work out the meaning of the word? You're going to need to help them. Look at one or two sentences and have them say, what question does the text answer for it? Now, the way we did it, like at Thomastown West, we looked at teaching the kids how to link questions with the text they were reading last year. And we had, one of the children read a sentence, another child suggested the question they thought that sentence answered, and then the child read the sentence again. And the question was, for the kids, does that question, does that answer match that question? And then the person had the chance to modify what they'd said. Now, it may be the teachers need to explore those sorts of activities. You may be asking your colleagues to put in place activities that they're not really familiar with, that they haven't used much before in their teaching. And so they're going to need to they're going to need to practice them, learn how to put them in place, learn how to do them. I really can't stress this first point enough. And one of the reason why I'm making a big deal of it is the currency for me as a teacher is the content I teach. Is this okay? The content that I teach is my currency. That's what I think about. What will I be teaching at 10 minutes past 1? So we have to make sure the strategies that each of your colleagues can see the actions they take in the content. So we take the lesson plan, we take the women in ancient Egypt, and we even annotate the text. Now, are you all happy with this? I'm stressing it, but I'll tell you, it won't move into teaching until you do it. It won't get there. So this dialogue, and it may well be that in some of the schools, you want to start having this dialogue in December this year, where if there is a bit of spare time, and often schools are busiest in December than